Hey guys, we are back with another M&M pod. It is Tuesday night. We are talking about the NFL. I'm here with my man Max. Max, how are you doing?
Doing good. We got a lot of football to talk about today. Gonna have a good show.
Yeah, absolutely we do. So, first things first, let's talk some Thursday night football primetime game in Philly. Eagles win that game 26 to 18, take control of the NFC East. What are your takeaways from that game?
I think this is. I predicted the Eagles to win this one. They're at home. They're just the more talented team, man. Eagles are a house. That's as far as teams you don't want to play right now. You got the Lions for sure. I think the Eagles might be second, man. It's just offense, defense. Point to me where there's a hole on the roster, and there just isn't one. That's all there is to it. So you definitely got maybe your worst Jane Daniels game. I don't know. I haven't kept track of every single game, but this one was definitely a struggle for him. 22 for 32 for 191 yards, touchdown and a pick. It wasn't that he was, throwing the game away or anything like that. He just wasn't necessarily making the plays that they had to make to win. Um, for example, Commanders go 3 for 12 on third down, while the Eagles go 9 for 16. And I think it just came down to a talent disparity. Eagles are the better team and one of the hottest teams in football right now.
Yeah, it kind of went how we thought it would go. Prime time, you're in Philly. Eagles have been trending up and continue to trend up, and the Commanders are good and not great. And that's no hate against the Commanders. They weren't expected to be really much of anything this year, and they're still borderline playoff lock at this point. One thing that stood out to me, Eagles outgained the Commanders 434 to 264. That includes outgaining them 228 to 93 on the ground, so more than doubled them up in terms of rushing yards. So Eagles offensive line dominated. And the thing here is just, man, the Eagles are good, dude. They just continue to look better and better every week. Like you said, you don't want to play them right now. They look absolutely phenomenal. AJ Brown, dog. Saquon Barkley, dog. Devonta Smith, dog. Tush push, still there, still there. So they take control of the NFC West. Commanders looking at a wild card now. Yeah. Anything else on that game?
If you're the Giants, man, you just gotta be so mad. You let Saquon Barkley walk, man, and if he's not number one, I mean, Derrick Henry's still around, but he's easily top two in the league as far as running backs go, and he just has played the best football of his career. So like letting that walk out the door, go into a division rival, that's just crazy, man. I Giants GM on the hot seat, that's for sure.
I think hot seat is understating it. I think he's
That
sitting
probably is.
directly on the surface of the sun.
Yes, it's probably a done deal here.
Yeah, and it should be. Other games, so Steelers Ravens, another massive divisional game. Ravens end up losing that game 16-18 to Pittsburgh. They fail a 2-point conversion near the end of the game to tie it up, which I hated that play call. I
Oof.
think one of my things is if you've got a guy who is that dynamic, give him as many options as possible
Hmm.
with the ball. It felt like they rolled him out to the weak side. He's got no wide receivers. And then if it's not there, it's not there. And he doesn't really have a chance to do anything. I mean, how many times this year have you seen Lamar's back there and he just makes 3D linemen miss and he's back there for 15 seconds and eventually someone's open and you roll him out to the weak side. There's nothing there. And it's just Lamar versus 3 Steelers to try and get into the end zone. Obviously, hindsight's going to be 2020, but didn't love the play call. I mean, as soon as they snapped the ball, I was like, oh no, no, and it was ugly.
And then he tries to throw it too. Like he just sets it up. Well, I mean, like you had to, but there's just I don't know how many times I've seen that, man, of just offensive coordinators. They get down to their 2 point conversion or they're like fourth and three, gotta have it, otherwise you lose the game. And they love the rollouts, man. The rollouts, the speed options, like plays that they don't run for pretty much the entirety of the game. It's just like, oh, we have to have this play. I'm gonna give my quarterback one, at most two options on one half of the field. Like, yeah, just exactly what you said, man. You got the MVP on your team. Give him as many options as possible, and more likely than not, he'll make that play for you. So didn't love that. But Justin Tucker, man, what happened? This guy
It
is the goated kicker, and this year has not looked like it. He was automatic every single year, and this year you're kind of leaning towards he's probably not going to make that kick. Two field goals missed. They lose by two. Is that right?
yep, 2 points.
Lose by 2 points. Missed two field goals, makeable field goals for Justin Tucker. So that's been a theme for him this season. That's disappointing. It kind of felt like the Ravens were maybe the better team in this game, just couldn't get over their mistakes. It kind of felt like they were beating themselves maybe a little more than the Steelers did. Uh, the Steelers pretty much just didn't make any mistakes except for that one Russell Wilson interception in the end zone,
Oh,
which like
that was terrible.
it was a bad pick. And then Darnell Washington, man, the giant tight end out of Georgia, just not even making any effort to
No,
get
we just
that
watched it
ball.
go.
He just watched it. He like looked like he was gonna get ready to jump for it, and it was like, oh, I'm not getting that. It just stopped. So that was pretty much the only mistake the Steelers had. The moon ball was not nearly as successful. I think he was 1 for 4 on deep targets this round. So surprisingly, the Ravens were able to limit their passing attack, but Steelers, they move the ball enough, man. Their defense is fantastic. They're one of the best teams in the AFC. So it's pretty much like every AFC North game I feel like I've ever watched. It's just good defense, absolute rock fights, and that's kind of what we saw. The home team won.
Yeah, stark difference between Justin Tucker and Chris Boswell because Chris Boswell hit 6 field goals. That's the second time that the Steelers have won a game this season with 18 points on 6 field goals. I'd be curious if any team has ever done that, but they're doing it. Russell Wilson didn't look great, but the Ravens defense hasn't been great this year, but they've got a history of being pretty good, so not too much there. If you're wondering who is this game is more of a referendum on, I think it's the Steelers. I'm not sure. I mean, there's takeaways on both sides. The Steelers can compete with the top dogs. We saw it with the Commanders last week. We saw it with the Ravens this week. But I come away from that game going, I still think the Ravens are the better team. Put me in the playoffs, I'd rather be the Ravens. They missed 2 field goals. They missed a 2-point conversion. Didn't really look great, and don't don't win the game. You got anything else from this game, man?
No, I just think you feel good about both teams. Ravens fell flat, but their flashes are definitely flashier than the Steelers. And the Steelers' defense is just top notch, man. So I think you come away feeling good about both teams. Classic, close divisional matchup. Steelers end up taking it.
Yeah, that does bump the Ravens down to the 6th seed at 7-4. Big game against the Chargers, and the Steelers 8-2, currently the 3 seed. Sad day for Mike Williams' watch. Just to mention before we move on,
Hate to see it.
25 snaps, 0 targets, no rushing attempts. It just wasn't good. He went
No
out there and
passing
played
attempts.
like a Georgia Tech wide receiver of old, just blocking for the option. So sad day over here for Mike Williams' watch. Another game. This game was crazy. Chargers Bengals. Chargers end up winning that game on a late score from J.K. Dobbins after Bengals make a 21-point comeback. So 6-27. Bengals score 21 straight. Chargers close it out, win 34-27. Bengals are now 1-6 in one possession games. I mean, that's just absolutely brutal. Brings them down to 4-7. They're now somewhere around 10th in the AFC. Yeah, they're at 10th. They're behind the Dolphins. They're behind the Colts. And man, the season's looking real bleak.
Yeah, it's the odds that they make the playoffs are just pretty low at this point with how well the Broncos are playing and the Ravens, Steelers, whoever wins that, whoever loses it probably gets another wild card spot. And then the Chargers. I mean, you're just so far behind the 8 ball right now that the odds aren't good. You got to win out and get help. So, from the Bengals perspective, man, if you're Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, you just got to be so disappointed. Like you're playing some of the best football of your career right now, and the defense is so bad that That's why you're 1-6 in these one possession games. So disappointing season. I'm a little disappointed we probably won't see them in the playoffs, given how electric their offense is. But this still speaks to how good the Chargers are, man. I think the Chargers are on a 4-game win streak. Justin Herbert is playing lights out football, man. Jim Harbaugh has the defense playing at a really good level. I mean, Bengals got them in the second half, but I mean, the Bengals offense has kind of been getting everyone. So even limiting their points for the first half was a big part of why they won that game. So Chargers, they're interesting, man. When you got a quarterback playing as a top 5 quarterback in the league, and you got a defense that can, you know, limit teams to 20 points or under, this team's dangerous. Probably not going to win the AFC West, given that the Chiefs are in there, but it's not a wild card team that I would want to see, as like the 4 seed in the AFC. I don't know if I want the Chargers coming to town.
Yeah, no, I mean Jim Harbaugh hasn't playing well. 7-3, that's the fourth best record. The Texans are 7-4, so Chargers looking at unless they pull off something miraculous. Now they do still have one game left with the Chiefs, so if they
Hmm.
win that, then they have to win one more game the rest of the way because
It's
they
not out
would
of the
both have
question.
the same. No, no, not out of the question here. It's going to take a lot. They've got a little bit of a tough schedule, so we'll see. But overall, yeah, Bengals continue their fall. I mean, it's just a waste, and you feel bad. And it's one of those things where Joe Burrow, he's not really in that top 3 quarterback conversation anymore. It really used to be, is it Mahomes, is it Allen, is it Burrow? And now Burrow's been replaced with Lamar. Number one, because Lamar is absolutely insane and continue to improve, but also the Bengals just have not been winning enough football games for Joe Burrow to be in that conversation. And that's not even to do with anything he's doing statistically. They just can't win football games.
Yeah, I mean, I still have Burrow probably in like the top 6 easily as far as
Yeah.
quarterbacks go. I mean, the win loss doesn't necessarily reflect it, but I'm not putting these losses on Joe Burrow personally. Like,
No.
he's playing out of his mind, so he's still one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and yeah, it's just unfortunate. It's just been a waste. So yeah, that's all I got for that game.
Yeah, absolutely. So continuing a theme of important divisional matchups, we had Hawks 49ers. I'm a Hawks fan. Geno Smith, baby. Pound the table for Geno Smith. Love that guy. 2 massive scrambles at the end of the game. Offense looks pretty freaking lifeless the entire time. 6-10, and then they go score. Bosa goes out. So that's the key. Bosa goes out. The Hawks, in their last 2 possessions, no Joey Bosa. They scored back-to-back touchdowns. Geno Smith, 20-yard scramble, puts everybody to sleep. Night, night. I mean, you got to love it as a Seahawks fan. I'm biased here, but in very big ramifications for both teams here.
Yeah, the Seahawks. This is kind of a gotta have it game, really for both teams, but especially the Seahawks. They lose that game. Now they're 2 games behind the Niners, and the Niners have the head-to-head over them. They're 2 games behind the Cardinals, like a game behind the Rams, I think. So that was a big one for the Seahawks to get that win. Wasn't impressive necessarily, but hey, they got the job done, and you're looking at a team that's probably not going to be in the mix for a wild card, I would say, but definitely in the mix for the division now, given that they play the Cardinals twice and are only 1 game behind. So season's alive for the Seahawks. They need to do a lot better on offense in order for them to really be a threat. But yeah, gotta tip your hat to them. They Gino made the plays when it mattered most.
Yeah, other things, Jawan Jennings goes absolutely nuclear, especially on third down. He had 3 conversions of
He's
third and
good,
10 or
man.
more. I mean, just boxing out Devin Witherspoon, who's a physical guy, just too
Hmm.
smalled him. And he looked ridiculous. So if you're playing fantasy football and for some reason he's not rostered in your league, pick him up immediately. He was Brock Purdy's safety target, especially with George Kittle out. And like you said, Niners are now in danger of missing the playoffs altogether.
Big
2 games
danger.
back. Yeah. They're a game back of the Cardinals. They don't have the head to head there. They still have a chance to play them, but they're 2 games back of the wild card, and they're 1-3 in the division. So if they split with a team, the odds of them getting that tiebreaker when it goes down to divisional record, not
Not
great.
good.
And
And they
just
were
injuries
winning.
keep piling up.
they were winning in all three of those losses in those divisional games. Like Rams, Cardinals, Hawks, all winning those games in the fourth quarter, and they blow the lead at the end. That's crazy. Kyle Shanahan continues to have these games, man. It's kind of been consistent for him. He can't finish as far as ensuring that the Niners maintain their lead. It's kind of crazy. They either blow teams out or it's extremely close and they lose their lead. So, man, you got to be disappointed if you're the 49ers right now. This is the same roster. They did a lot of stuff to bring the band back together, and just you're looking at a legitimate scenario right now that the 49ers miss the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, they got to be getting flashbacks to both Super Bowls, blowing these fourth quarter leads, man. I mean, it's got to be brutal. But enough with the Niners. Go Hawks, baby. Geno Smith. Go get myself a Geno jersey after that one. Most important game of the week in terms of record and really just major impacts. Chiefs finally lost. They finally lost to the Bills. Josh Allen is a tank. I mean, what are you going to say? Chiefs finally lost. The refs, believe it or not, in the fourth quarter, they did in fact throw a flag on the Chiefs offensive line. Probably the craziest stat of the game. Fourth quarter flag on the Chiefs offensive line, they called a holding. So after, of course, not calling an incompletion, an obvious incompletion, it was nuts. But Bills get it done. Josh Allen looks like an animal.
Yeah, the Bills, they're just a damn good team, man. They're legit Super Bowl contenders here. Josh Allen's playing the best of his career right now. And I think over the past few seasons, it's kind of been like, okay, Josh Allen, we know he's at his best is top three easily in the NFL, right? But he always had these like it was high peaks and he had some low valleys. Like he would just drop these games where it's like losing to bottom of the league teams, right? This season's different. He's hit the peak and he's just maintained it. It's been extremely impressive. He's definitely playing the best of his career. And I love their decision there. They're only up, what was it? They're up 2 points. Fourth and two. They're in field goal range. That's a team that has lost to Patrick Mahomes many times. And I mean, clearly they made the right decision. They give it to their best player. He takes off, scores a touchdown, and pretty much ends that game. Love the decision there. Bills are definitely one of the teams to beat in the AFC. And the Chiefs. Finally, their flaws finally catch up to them. A good team finally takes advantage of them. And we're looking at no longer an undefeated Chiefs team. Gotta love it.
Yeah, the Miami Dolphins, that old team, they got the drink after last weekend. Every time the last undefeated team loses, they celebrate. And looking at Josh Allen, the big thing, like you're talking about, is turnovers. He's on pace right now for 9 interceptions, and that would be the least since 2019 when he also had 9 interceptions. If the guy doesn't turn the ball over, you cannot stop him.
No, you can't.
I saw a crazy statistic. I think they have like a 90 win percentage when he doesn't turn the ball over, fumble or interception. If he doesn't turn the ball over, they win. And that's going to be I think that's the key to the Bills' success moving forward.
Yeah, it definitely is. Are you worried about the Chiefs?
I'm not worried about the Chiefs. Not at all. They play a good team and lost. I mean, we'll see, but they feel inevitable to me still. They finally looked beatable, but that's not new to me. I think they have looked beatable and it just hasn't happened yet. And they've got closer and closer and closer, and finally they lost. Does that game worry you about the Chiefs at all?
It just kind of confirms what I feel like I've thought the whole season. I think the Chiefs went like they knew their offense wasn't going to be as explosive, given that Kelsey doesn't have the juice he once did. You're relying on a first round rookie to provide that explosiveness, like and your left tackle, you basically have a liability there right now. So I think the offense we're seeing isn't going to get much better. I don't think D Hop changes that too much. He's a reliable possession guy, but he doesn't have the same juice he once did. So the offense, it just has a cap. We've thought that and it's pretty much been proven through 10 games of the season. So as far as where they stand in the AFC, they're not, you know, this lock to even make the Super Bowl or make the AFC Championship. Like their offense just has a legitimate cap to it.
Yeah. One of the storylines that is bothering me from this game, Josh Allen is now the front runner for the MVP. Everyone's talking about it. Vegas has him at plus 150. Lamar's trailing him at plus 200. Can we get a reality check, please? Josh Allen this season, 2,500 yards, 18 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 64% completion percentage. That's a 98 rating. Lamar Jackson, 2,900 yards, 25 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 117 rating, 67% completion percentage. He's better in every statistic. And oh, by the way, he runs the ball. He's ran for more yards. I don't get it. They played each other. The Ravens blew the Bills out. They beat the Chiefs, and all of a sudden, to me, it's just another one of those like, oh, look at the Chiefs. Somehow it's a referendum on the freaking Chiefs. I'm over that whole narrative. But also, just look at the stats. I get Josh Allen had a crazy quarterback power on a 4th and 2 to beat the Chiefs. And other than that, Lamar's been better than him in every single way this season. So I'm not buying that one. I still like Lamar at plus 200. Take it while you got it. Do you feel differently than me, or like, am I crazy?
No, I mean I would side with Lamar Jackson at this point. I still think he's been the best player in the league. I don't know if you've seen like the so he has 3 picks, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I saw a compilation of the 3 interceptions he's thrown. First one against the Raiders, he throws it to like a tight end that's trying to box out the defender. The defender like leaps over him and somehow comes up with a pick, right? Not really a pick. Second one, receiver drops it, like it pops up in the air and tip drill pick. Third one, insane play by the Steelers linebacker to like it was a little bit of a I would say underthrow from Lamar. That guy, his Justice Hill is wide open on that wheel route, and but still like the linebacker like jumps and as the receiver catches it and going to the ground rips it into his like it's
Yeah, I
crazy. So
saw
his
that
three
play. It
picks,
was
his three
nuts.
picks are like picks like so he's been just unbelievable as far as production, and I would still lean towards him. I will say he does have a few things working against him though, like given how I mean, just look how much the lines are moved. Like last week, we were like Lamar's running away with the MVP, and it showed in the Vegas odds. 1 week later, Josh Allen beats the Chiefs, and now he's the betting favorite. Like the line's gonna move like crazy, so I still lean towards Lamar. I will say, given that he's won it twice, I would worry just a little bit about voter fatigue. So, like, if it's close, they might go Josh Allen just because of which I don't agree with. I don't agree with voter fatigue. It should always go to the best player. But we've seen it across multiple sports, multiple seasons in the NFL even. So
Yeah, I mean, it just Josh Allen doesn't have an MVP, so maybe they do one of these things where like they want to give it to him
yep,
because he doesn't have one, and they feel like at some point he should have deserved one. I hate that narrative. I think it's prevalent in the NBA and in the NFL where it's just like, this guy probably deserves one. Like, there's no way Jokic can have 4. Like, was he the best all 4 years? Yeah, he was the best player all 4 years, but does that represent the greatness of Embiid? Probably not. Like, he deserves one. No, he doesn't. You got to be the best player every year. So I just can't. I can't stand voter fatigue. And I look at the numbers, and Lamar's better. I watch the games. Josh Allen looks great. This is not me ragging on Josh Allen. Lamar just looks insane.
Josh Allen is easily the number 2 quarterback in the league right now.
Yep.
Easily.
And he's just not number one. He's just not number one. So give it to Lamar. There's my rant about that. That was pissing me off. Other impressive quarterback performance: Bo Nix, 28
Oh,
for
Knicks,
33,
man.
threw 07 and 4 TDs against the Falcons. The Broncos blow them out 38-6. Not even kind of close. Important game for both teams. Broncos house them. Bo Nix, backdoor rookie of the year run. Is he running at it at all?
Maybe, just maybe, like if he continues this and Jaden Daniels kind of continues to struggle a little bit, I would say possibly. I would say the heavy favorite would still be Jaden Daniels, but just a little update on the rookies we've seen. You got to feel really good about Jaden Daniels, Drake May, and Bo Nix, man. Bo Nix, he just doesn't make mistakes. He's making the right reads, the right throws. He's been accurate. He can scramble like crazy. It's just he went to the perfect system in Sean Payton. Given what he did at Oregon, it translated extremely well. That was the best situation for him, and it's shown, man. A few struggles early on, but if you're a Broncos fan, you got to be stoked with what you've seen from Bo Nix because you got the last quarterback of that first round. So, given how well he's played, you got to be pretty happy. And at this point, I feel good. I think we got it. I feel good right now. We got a franchise quarterback in Denver.
Yeah, just some numbers. Bo Nix, 66% completion percentage, 2,300 yards, 14 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Jane Daniels, 50 yards ahead of him, also roughly 2,300, 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So Jane Daniels been a little bit more effective on the ground, but it's not as if Bo Nix isn't effective at all on the ground. So if trends continue, he's kind of like, the Reaper sneaking up behind someone's back. Like,
Mhm.
watch out. He might come and get it, especially if the Broncos continue to play well. So, if he would have beat the Chiefs last week, he'd probably be the freaking MVP frontrunner because that's how this works. So, whatever.
We'll talk about the
Falcon.
Falcons later, bro.
Yeah,
We don't. Yeah,
let's just keep it
we
pushing.
we got a full segment for that. They're back to back weeks here.
Yeah, absolutely they are. Only team to do it, too.
Yeah.
Packers at the Bears, close game.
Oh,
Packers win. Caleb Williams doesn't look horrible,
that was
finally.
his best. That was probably his best game we've seen since the Panthers. I
Yeah.
would say easily. Like he was decisive this game. It showed. I guess, new play caller, given that they fired Shane Waldron. Um, he looked better in my opinion. I don't know what conversation they had, but when he decided to scramble and take off, he actually took off, and that made a big difference. Um, Way more decisive throwing the ball as well. Had some really nice throws. Really nice 4th and 3 to Romo Dunze. That was sick to see. Just kind of a classic Romo Dunze from Washington, like fading down the sideline, back shoulder, jump ball catch. That was pretty sick to see. Um, what I want to talk about is what the Bears did at the end. So here's the situation, right? Bears are down 1 point, have had a really good, back and forth game with the Packers. Packers get the go ahead score. Bears have a reasonable kind of like 2 minute drill type offense to go down the field to kick a field goal to get to go ahead game winning drive, right? So they do a great job pretty quickly. They get down the field. They are on the, let's see, it would be the Packers 30-yard line. 30-ish yard line. 30 plus seconds and a timeout. And they decide we're going to go inside zone and we're going to like run play inside zone. It gets stopped for no gain, and they let the clock tick down to 4 seconds, take a timeout, their last timeout, and kick a field goal that gets blocked. So my question is why? Like, why would you do that? You have time. The difference between a 35-yard field goal and a 45-yard field goal, that's a big difference, man. Especially with kickers that we've been seeing across the league right now. Why would you do that? Why would you not take advantage of the time that you have? Make that field goal as easy as you possibly can. I couldn't stand that decision. I think that was arguably the worst decision of the week from a coaching standpoint.
Yeah, I can't stand that type of stuff. To me, you've got professionals on the field. You've got to trust your guys. To me, that shows a lack of trust in Caleb Williams, a lack of trust in the offense as a whole. Let him throw the ball. Like, I get he's kind of turnover prone. So if any quarterback warrants you to make that decision, maybe it's Caleb Williams. I'm still not with it. If there's nothing there, throw it away or get on the ball. Run a draw
Yeah,
concept or
you
something,
got to
or a
pass.
screen, a quick hitter, anything
Yeah.
to pick you up 5, 6, 7 yards. Go spike the ball, try it one more time. Then if you don't got it, then center the ball and kick it. you've wasted 4 opportunities to advance the ball.
Yeah, you
3 or
could do
4 opportunities to advance the
so
ball.
much with whatever 38 seconds or something like that. You could do so much with that time. That was crazy to me. And yeah, I mean, a blocked field goal doesn't necessarily mean that, the kicker wouldn't have made it if it didn't get blocked, but you know, the angle that you kick at, you got to go a little bit lower to get more distance on it when it's 45 versus 35. So that played a part.
Yeah, and we saw it last week. Same thing. Broncos, Chiefs. Chiefs block it to win the game. Maybe. Heads up. Stop with the conservatism. Go get as close to the end zone as you possibly can for your kicker if you can't punch it in.
Yeah. And then from the Packers perspective, like, I think you got to be a little bit frustrated. Like, why are you in a close game with a Bears team that's absolutely reeling? It wasn't Chicago, so, it's a divisional matchup. I guess we won't harp on them too much for not winning that game handedly. They made the plays when it mattered most. But Jordan Love, his like week 10 and on into the playoffs last season was so good that we're like, oh man, Packers did it again. They really might have found another franchise guy, right? This season it just hasn't showed up. He's been fine. He doesn't necessarily lose him games, but he has not been the guy that we saw that was on a hot streak to finish the season whatsoever. So I don't know if I'm like pushing the panic button by any means on Jordan Love, but I'm kind of like, when are you gonna show up, man? Like, what happened to the guy that we saw for like 8 straight games just pop off? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on there for the Packers. Still a good team. Still feel good about them. But Jordan Love's definitely got to play better.
Yeah, for all the alarm bells, they're 7-3. They're 2 games ahead of the 8 seed Rams, Seahawks, 49ers trio. So they should still make the playoffs.
Yes.
They still got the Vikings on the schedule, so they're going to have a chance to get up to that 5 spot. If for whatever reason Detroit starts falling off, they'll have a shot. They're only 2 games back of Detroit. I don't envision that happening at all, but they're still in great circumstances. 7-3 is nothing to scoff at. They're going to have a road game. And if you get the 6 seed or the 5 seed, you get to play the NFC West or the NFC South champion, and that's a game that doesn't look super duper daunting. So,
You'll be all right.
yeah, exactly. So, not the end of the world for the Packers. Once again, a win's a win. Things that aren't wins, what the Falcons did, and it's time for that segment. These teams sucked.
Terrible.
And once again, the Falcons back-to-back weeks in the these teams sucked category. They lost once again 38-6. It's an important game. You win this game, you're 3 games ahead of Tampa Bay. If you include the tiebreaker as half a game, they'd be 3 games ahead. And then you put it away. And they're an absolute no-show, and they're continuing to look abysmal. I mean, come on, man. What are we doing? 6 points?
Just ugly, man. Falcons put a lot of money down to get Kirk Cousins to come over, and you just haven't seen what he's getting paid for, other than the 2 insane games that he played against the Bucks and the 1 game-winning drive against the Eagles. Like, that's really the only games that you're pointing to being like, yeah, Kirk Cousins played well this game. The Falcons are just, it's a disappointing football team, and they're still winning their division currently. So, like, for being a disappointing football team, they still have time to figure it out, and maybe they get hot come playoff time. I don't think so. They've showed up on this list back-to-back weeks against 2 teams that they should not be showing up on this list. You got to be disappointed. Penix got in. That's how bad the game went. Is that Penix got to operate the last couple drives there. Still not sure what the plan is there, but yeah, Falcons sucked.
Yeah, Broncos 400 yards to the Falcons 226. They outrush them 105-50. So we have Bijan Robinson, can't run the ball. Broncos 6.7 yards per play to the Falcons 4. 6 of 11 on third down. Falcons 4 of 13. Falcons did go 2 for 2 on fourth down, and that's about the only good thing you can say about them. I mean, it's a continuing trend. And to me, the Falcons might find a way to back their way into the playoffs because they have the tiebreaker with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's got a much easier schedule, so they're going to have a shot. I actually think Tampa Bay is going to find a way to get it done. But the Falcons might find a way to back their way in, and congrats. You get the Vikings or you get the Packers. They're going to lose that game. I have no faith in the Falcons. They're terrible. And, there's another team that really sucked this week.
Oh, I'm excited for this one.
52. 52. That's so many points. So many points. If you are a fantasy team and you are just the Detroit Lions, you probably put up about 215 this week. They put up 52 points. The Jaguars put up 6. And the Jaguars are allergic to firing Doug Peterson.
52 is crazy, man. Hey, you're a professional football team, and you let up 7 straight drives. 7 straight drives resulted in a touchdown for the Lions. Everybody was eating. Jameer Gibbs, David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams. Who didn't score? It was we're kind of beating the team while they're down. The Jaguars don't have their current starting quarterback in, but man, this team in the offseason like went and spent some money. Like they bring in Gabe Davis for some reason. Like he's gonna fix. Still have no idea why they signed that guy, right? They've spent quite a bit of money on just these average to below average players and hoping that Doug Peterson can make something of it. And it just hasn't happened. And now we're at the point where Mac Jones is your quarterback. And I'm excited that another team in the NFL has to go through that. It's tough to watch, man. With a defense that you invest, like you put a number one pick, with Trayvon Walker, like you've invested in the defense. So you would hope that at least you don't get blown out 52-6 at home. It's tough. We're beating the team while they're down for sure, but
Yeah,
those
well,
are bad.
they invested a lot in their defense to give up 645 yards, 8.5 yards per play. They score a touchdown every drive. I feel about the Jags how I feel about the team that we don't talk about that also starts with a J. In the AFC, we're going to keep it pushing. Don't need to talk about them for the rest of the season unless they give up another 50 ball. Then they might pop back up on this list.
Just let it be known that they would have been on this list had we not said that we weren't going to talk about them.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely they would have been because Anthony Richardson all of a sudden looks good. No, whoa. Which, that is interesting. We should
Whoa.
talk about that for a second.
Yeah, we should. Maybe the benching worked. It was a little bit, why are you not giving reps to the guy that everybody knows is a project? And I think it kind of probably boils down to in-house stuff. Like he's probably not taking the right steps in order to get better. Maybe not taking it as seriously as he needs to. I don't know. Like we don't know that situation. So, but if I had to guess, that's probably what it is. And I think the benching maybe worked, man. That was his most accurate game. It was like his second throw of the game, and I'm like, oh no, it's back. He has a guy that's literally 5 yards in front of him, and he absolutely clears him. Clears him. Like the ball lands 15 yards past the guy over his head. And it's like, oh boy, here we go. Anthony Richardson, he's back. And then he followed it up with just a really good game, man. They end up winning, and that was probably the best game we'd seen from him all season. He hit the throws that he needed to hit. And that's all you're asking that's all you're asking for from Anthony Richardson right now. You know he's going to make play on his legs, but you have to see him develop as a passer. And I think for the first time all season, we actually saw some promising signs. Other than that, 80-yard bomb week 1.
Yeah, don't look now. Anthony Richardson in his last 5 starts, 4-5. Interesting to note there. All of them have been within 6 points, within 6
What do you
points.
mean? What do you mean 4-5 in 5 games?
So his last 4 games that he started, you take out those Flacco games. The last 4 games he started, Bears, Steelers, Dolphins, Houston, and then the team we don't talk about. They're 4-1 in those games.
Oh, okay, got it.
So 4-1 in those games. 10 carries for 32 yards, 2 touchdowns, and looks like a monster on those touchdowns, just trucking dudes. He's an absolute freak of an athlete. And then all of a sudden, if he can throw the ball, he's terrifying. He's absolutely terrifying. 20 for 30, 272, 9.1 yards per attempt for a touchdown, 2 sacks, no turnovers. I mean,
They're
if
good.
he can do that, now you're not going to expect him to throw for 300 yards every week. But if he can do that, and you have to respect the pass game as well as his run game, the Colts are dangerous. I mean, I don't know about this season, but moving forward, the Colts will be dangerous because he is that type of athlete, that type of impact guy, if he can play like that.
Yeah, it was promising.
Yeah. Circling back around real quick, I'm a Hawks fan. The Niners suck. I hate them. Can't lose that game. Stop getting injured.
I don't think it's necessarily injury related, man. Like, I don't think you can just be like, oh, Bosa, Bosa's been in and out. Kittle wasn't in. Ayuk's been hurt. Look how good Jawan Jennings is, man. Look how like good Ricky Pearsall has been at times. Christian McCaffrey's back. You've got a bevy of weapons, offense and defense. We can't just keep saying, oh, it's the injury bug for the 49ers. No, even with the whatever injury bug they may have, they need to win that game. You're at home against a divisional opponent. And pretty much if you win that game, we're like, oh, the Niners are probably going to win the division, go to the playoffs, everything's fine. You lose that game, the third divisional game that goes the exact same way, that's a bad week, man. When you go from likely to make the playoffs to likely to not make the playoffs, your team sucked that week.
Yeah, so if it's not the injury bug, then what is the problem with the 49ers this season?
I think it comes down a lot to just you've made it to 2 Super Bowls and you've lost both of those Super Bowls, and now you got to pay everyone. Not everyone's happy with the amount that they're getting paid. So you get Brandon Ayuk doesn't practice all off season, gets his big money deal, and then doesn't produce, right? You got Trent Williams, who's like, I'm the best tackle in the league, which probably is, flies in week 1 when they finally get him his money, right? So you just got a team that didn't practice together in the offseason. And for some reason they can't put teams away. And I don't know if it's just a lack of motivation. Like there shouldn't be a reason that the 49ers aren't an easy playoff team. There shouldn't be a reason that the Niners aren't running away with this division. So what do you chalk it up to? I chalk it up to coaching, to be honest. Like Kyle Shanahan, this has been a consistent trend. He's still, he can put together one of the best offensive scripts in the league. And when the 49ers are hot, no one's beating them. That's why they go to 2 Super Bowls in the past, 5 years. But it's also a team that can't play from behind. It's a team that can't always hold a lead. So I chalk it up to coaching. If you can't keep that talented of a roster motivated to, win a division that you should definitely win, given the talent on your roster, I'm gonna say it's a coaching issue.
Yeah, like we said, trends continuing of blowing fourth quarter leads, and it's really costing them. So you look, if the Niners do get hot and they do get to that 3 seed, depending on the NFC South, 3 seed, 4 seed, 7 seed, if they get to any of those spots, I still don't want to play them. I still don't.
No, you don't.
They're talented, and every time they make the playoffs, I swear they make the NFC Championship. I think it's 4 out of the last, maybe 4 straight years that they've been to the NFC title game. So you don't want to play them in the playoffs. Come January, not the team you want to play. But as of right now, there's a chance they might not get there, which is a relief to pretty much everyone in the NFC, including me as a Seahawks fan. Yeah, got to feel bad for them. Let's move on. Let's go to games next week. Lions, 7.5-point favorites. They're at the Colts. We just talked about Anthony Richardson being hot and the Lions putting the team on the these teams sucked list. I still think the Lions are just that team. I don't think it ends up being that close. I like the minus 7.5. They just look ridiculous. Do you see it any differently?
No, I don't. It's not that the Colts are a bad team. Lions are just better, both sides of the ball, and no one's stopping them right now. Lions are the best team in football. Colts, I think they need to pick up one of these type of games, against a really good team in order to be competitive with the Broncos for that last wild card spot. But I don't think it's going to be the Lions.
No, I don't think so. If the Colts do manage to win this game, we start having a really interesting conversation about how good the Colts really are. So, we'll save that for if it really happens. But they'd have a shot at winning their division. They'd have a shot at making that wild card. As I see it right now, I still think the Lions take care of business by 10 plus. So that's that. Seahawks, again, another massive divisional game. Cardinals, 1-point favorite. They're going to the Hawks. Hawks coming off that major win against the 49ers. Cardinals coming off of a bye week. 2 weeks ago, they blew out the team we don't talk about. So both teams trending up. What are you seeing from this game?
I pumped the brakes just a little bit on Hawks trending up. Like,
Oh, come on, man. Give it to me. Let it be trending.
I pumped the brakes just like they're 2-5 in their last seven, and they kind of snuck away with the win there against the Niners, who we just said are on the this team sucked list. So I might pump the brakes that they're like trending up. Uh, I would say that the Cardinals are trending up more, but I still like this. Like they're at home, and it's not like the Cardinals are like a far better team by any means. I think I lean Cardinals just given how hot that offense has been, but I'm not surprised, I guess, either way, either outcome of this game. But I think I'd probably lean Cardinals just given how well Kyler Murray's been playing, how good the weapons are in Marvin Harrison and Trey McBride. I think they move the ball with not too much of an issue. Um, I think the Hawks move the ball with not too much of an issue either. I think we see some points in this game. Cardinals defense has been playing better than we think that they should, but the Seahawks still got, one of the best wide receiving trios in the league, and Geno's still playing good ball. So I like points in this game, and I think I kind of lean Cardinals on this one.
Yeah, call it a homer pick. I'm going to take the Hawks.
They're at
The
home.
Seahawks, yeah, they are at home. So, look, they got the best trio of wide receivers in the NFL, in my opinion. And I think it's one of those things. You go win an important divisional game. You've been slumping. You're 1-4 in your last five. You go win a nail biter, super important game on the road, and you get to come back home and play another important game. I mean, they're riled up. Lumen Field will be absolutely jumping for this game. It's the most important game. Now, granted, it feels like every week's the most important week when you start coming down the stretch. But last week was the most important week. Guess what? You won. So now this week is the most important week of the season. Massive game, massive implications. They had a bye week, then come back and beat the Niners. I think you see them start taking steps in the right direction. And you're right, they're not trending up yet. But after they win this game, the Hawks will be trending up, baby. They'll
They
be in
win
the
this game.
division
They'll
lead.
definitely be trending up. Yep.
Come on. Come on. Other team, you got anything else on that game?
Nope.
Next, we got, again, NFC West team, 49ers going to the Packers. Packers are 2.5-point favorites. You kind of feel like both teams obviously really, really want this game. The Niners need this game. Packers looks more like a seeding game at this point, but if the Niners win that game, all of a sudden they're 6-5. Packers are 7-4. They're one game back with the tiebreaker. So puts them in a solid spot to maybe go make a run at that wild card if they can't win the division. What are you looking for from this game?
You're looking for one Jordan Love to show up and to beat a Niners team that has just been mid this season. The record reflects that. Eye test reflects that. Packers have shown a lot more flashes, in my opinion, and so I think you'd think the Packers would be able to handle this one at Lambeau. I don't know, man. The 49ers, they've kind of owned the Packers as of late. I think especially in the playoffs over the past few seasons. So 49ers are they're talented enough to beat any team on any given week, but just given this is a tough one, man. I almost lean 49ers just given that they need it more. And I think you got to hold on to some hope that like this team can find the motivation to find a way to the playoffs. So I think I lean Niners on this one. It's going to be close though, regardless. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Jordan Love to show up, and I think the Niners win.
Yeah, I got the Niners win this game too. I actually agree with you. They need it more. I'm looking at Niners Wire. They say that the 49ers expect both George Kittle and Brock Purdy to play. Joey Bosa is expected to play. So they should have most of their complemented dudes. Obviously, no Ayuk. But I'm just not in love with the Packers. Pun's not intended, but now it is. Not in love with the Packers. They didn't look great against the Bears. The 49ers backs are against the wall. I think they're going to be able to go take care of business. I like them as a dog line. They get plus 120, plus 125 on this, depending on your sports book. I like that bet a lot. I think the Niners go take care of business in this one.
Yeah, I agree.
Eagles -3 at the Rams. So all
Cool.
NFC until further notice, all NFC West games are massive games because they're all within a game of each other.
I got to see some
So and
separation.
yeah, and we'll continue to talk about it as such. And they're all like quality-ish teams. Like the Rams have been a good team, but they're 5-5. The Niners have been a good team. They're 5-5. The Hawks, volatile. The Cardinals are trending up. Eagles -3 at the Rams, prime time, Sunday Night Football. Eagles looking like a house. Rams need it more. Who you got?
I think you got to go Eagles, just given how good that they are. They're a much more talented roster across the board, and that has shown up, every single week for like the past, it feels like 7 weeks now, something like that. I will say, if there's a team that could maybe sneak a win in, it might be the Rams, just given that they have, a really good vet at quarterback in Matt Stafford and two top-notch wide receivers in Nakua and Cooper Kupp that may be able to take advantage of the Eagles secondary, who is playing, two first, second round corners who've been playing fantastic football. But if you're gonna, drop a game where you don't maybe see the best from the secondary, it would be against, a crafty vet in Cooper Kupp and just an all around dude in Puka Nakua. That guy's freaking good, man. So I lean Eagles. I think they probably cover the -3. I kind of see it as like a 7 to 10-ish point win for the Eagles, but I think the Rams they have a chance.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a close game. Vegas sees it the same way, right? 3-point game, 3-point favorite for the Eagles. If I got to pick, I pick them to cover. But I agree. They got vets on rookies, and so strength versus if you're going to call that a weakness for the Eagles, they don't have many. But if they do have one, that's probably what it is, and the Rams are in a really good spot to take advantage of it. At the end of the day, there's a reason the Rams are 5-5 and the Eagles are 8-2. The Eagles are a better football team, and I expect them to prove it and go win this game. Ravens -3 at the Chargers. Another
This is
massive game
interesting.
for the Ravens. So we're looking at tiebreaker for possible wild cards. If the Ravens drop this game, then you're 3 games back of the Steelers, and that's going to be really tough to go catch them. Likewise, Chargers, if you lose this game, really slim chance you're going to be able to go catch the Chiefs. You win this game, you're getting close to guaranteeing yourself that 5 spot and being able to go play the Texans. So, important game. Ravens are 3-point favorites here. Who do you like?
This was brutal, man. Chargers they're hot right now. They're on a 4 game win streak. They're at home, which for the chip like for a team to be at home, that's probably the worst advantage in the league. There's
Yeah,
just
I think it
not a lot of
means
Chargers
more.
fans in LA.
Yeah, I think it's
So
more just that it's not in Baltimore than
yeah,
about it being in LA.
yeah, not too big of a deal. But you know, they don't have to go to Baltimore, like you said. I lean Ravens just because over the course of the season, Lamar has shown that he is the best player. I think he did have his worst game by far against the Steelers, but I think he kind of gets back to it against the Chargers. I do think this is a close one. Um, I think I lean Ravens to cover the 3 point spread as just a hey, we're still one of the best teams in the league type game. While the Chargers still show that they're one of the toughest teams to beat. So that's what I see from this game.
Yeah, John Harbaugh 2-0 against Jim Harbaugh. I expect that to continue. I think he gets to 3-0 in that one. That's going to be your Monday Night Football game. So Sunday night and Monday night, both great games. So obviously, always good to have good primetime games. Be able to sit down, eat some dinner, watch some good football, man. Lines that I really like this week. The Broncos are only 5.5-point favorites at the Raiders. I don't understand that. I like taking an alt spread all the way up to 9.5. The Broncos have shown that they blow out bad teams, and the Falcons, which the Falcons are a bad team. They're back to back. These teams sucked, but they blow out bad teams. Bo Nix is operating that offense absolutely seamlessly. They almost went and beat the Chiefs. They're trending up. The Raiders, man, the Raiders, it's a lost season for them, and we kind of all knew it going in. And 5.5 points is just it's not nearly enough for me. Are you seeing anything I'm missing?
No, I think the only reason you see the line where it's at is it's, a divisional matchup and the Broncos are away. Um, but they're a way better team than the Raiders. The Raiders are playing for almost nothing at this point, and Broncos still got a lot to play for. So the motivations aren't right. The talent, pretty much all tick marks go to the Broncos, and yeah, they're the better team. So I like them to cover 5.5 pretty handily.
Yeah, and it's not in a spot where you expect the Broncos to get lazy. They need every game they can get in
Yep.
the wild card. So you expect them to come out, full effort and really take care of business there. Another line, Commanders are minus 10.5. They're hosting the Cowboys. 10.5 is a lot of points. The Cowboys 31-6 against the Eagles, or 34-6, excuse me. And then they go and get blown out 34-10 to the Texans. I mean, they look abysmal. They don't show any ability to score more than 10 points or hold teams to less than 28. And the vibes in that locker room have to be the worst in the NFL at this point. I mean, I can't imagine a situation where they're worse. And they're playing a backup quarterback. And the Commanders, they kind of want a get right game after losing to the Eagles. I expect them to come out fiery. I mean, maybe say it's a divisional matchup, but it's in Washington. So, what are you expecting out of this one?
Commanders should win this one handedly. You know, the Dak CD connection was kind of the only thing that the Cowboys had going for them. Dak's out for the season. Cooper Rush, he's a backup, for a reason. It's not a team that's going to put up a lot of points. It's not a defense that's going to, prevent you from scoring many points. It's just not a good defense overall. Michael Parsons, I believe, is playing, so that'll help. But another thing working for them, they should be able to see, given that the sun won't be blinding them. It is in Washington, so maybe that helps them out enough, but I don't think so, man. Commanders should run away with this one. And we've kind of seen that from the Commanders. They've consistently blown out bad teams. So, yeah, give me Commanders to cover that spread.
Are there any other lines that you were really liking this week?
Yeah, I like Steelers minus 3.5 at Cleveland. Cleveland, they're way more entertaining with Jameis. I just don't see how the Steelers would lose this game. Steelers defense is better, their offense is better. Maybe, divisional matchup in the AFC North that tends to lean towards the home team, but I don't think so in this scenario. You're talking about the top of the AFC North versus the bottom of the AFC North, and I think talent-wise, the Steelers have more. So I like them to cover 3.5. I think it's a low-scoring game, but I think they win by 10-ish points.
Yeah, man, last week I said I'm going to go against my intuition, not pick the home team in an AFC North game,
Didn't work.
and boy, was I wrong. Ravens lost. They should have won, but they lost. Ask the Ravens about going to Cleveland. AFC North teams win at home. That being said,
Yeah.
man, the Steelers look like a way better football team. And at some point, there's no way the AFC North curse continues that much, right? Like the Steelers got to go win this game. I think they do. I think the way they play defense will really be able to
Yeah.
limit the Browns. And, I honestly, if the Steelers score 17, I think they cover 3.5. And
Yeah.
I think they got 17 in them this game. So,
They just play a
yeah,
style of football that goes well on the road. It's you play elite defense, you got a great rushing attack, so I think they'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. My dog line for the week, like I said, 49ers. You have any other dogs you like this week?
I'm seeing Arizona as a 1 point dog to the Hawks. Not a lot of value in that. It's kind of just a pick 'em game. Um, I'm not seeing too many other dog lines, to be honest. I think a lot of the favorites win this week.
Yeah, not feeling super adventurous on the betting front for the dog lines this week. That is going to wrap it up for us for this NFL week. Appreciate you guys listening. We just released a mailbag episode, so if you haven't listened to that yet, go ahead and give that a listen. You guys can, reach us at the Sports Pod Gmail. You can reach us on Instagram. We appreciate you guys listening, and go make some money this weekend.